Well, hey everyone, Bill Sickert had a phone call this weekend and it was a good friend of mine and he goes, "Hey, you guys finally made 60 minutes." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, the your litigation thing and all that." I go, "That's litigation practice group creditor program?" He goes, "Yeah, I think so." So I checked it out and lo and behold, it was not us, but actually it brought up some good points I wanted to share on this video. And what it's about is that the 60 minutes thing was on litigation funding. And the history of 60 Minutes, I'm a huge fan. In fact, I was kind of hoping that I would be able to meet Leslie Stahl and the crew. But anyway, I did look at the program, and litigation funding is something that's out there, and I want everybody to understand what it is. Litigation funding in our old law firm was referred to as a war chest client. Here's the deal. You have somebody with an extremely good case and high potential there, pretty good evidence, but you're going to need to get your ducks in a row with a lot of money, a lot of experts, neurosurgeons, neurologists, whatever it may be, and a lot of time. And then you eventually get this to court. The reason you are doing this is because it's such a good case that you're going beyond what lawyers typically do, which is policy limits $1 million, that's it. Well, this could be a $50 million case. Rarely does an insurance policy cover that, and most of them carve out the situations anyway. Back to the war chest client, they're sitting there with no money and no way to do anything. The law firm comes in as the knight in shining armor and says, "Hey, we'll take this." And where does the money come from? That's where litigation funding comes about. It's completely legal. It's been done for decades. And the way it works is a person with a lot of money that doesn't care about losing it or not getting it back for a long period of time, if at all, will actually provide the funding. The attorneys will get that funding and keep it. In most cases, these are done over lunch. There may be a letter or a memo for the person that just says they're going to be doing this with their money and the law firm is going to be handling this case. The client may never be mentioned or referenced in the case or the letter. And it's usually a sentence in there that has these words: no recourse. Yeah, no recourse for the person giving the money, not the law firm giving it back. So yeah, high risk, very different than what we do. But it was brought up, and I think it's a good education for all of us to know that that exists out there. Now, 60 Minutes, having been a huge fan and almost in the level of studying the group, they have a recipe. So the way they go about doing a story is called EDA, but there has to be some situation where the E is for the evil empire, and it's the bad guy. And then, of course, with a bad guy, kind of like Dudley Do-Right, the good guy, you have to have L, the damsel in distress. Well, in 60 Minutes, that's somebody that was harmed or was championed in a good way. So, you know, the evil empire and then the championship that goes on. In the case of the 60 Minutes litigation funding program, it made the group look really good. And the CEO got on there and explained the program entirely. So, and then what they try and do is get to the point, you know, this crescendo in 60 Minutes that says, you, the watcher, feels and says in your heart, there ought to be a law, you know, there ought to be a law against this, and that's it. I mean, that's their recipe. So the bad guy, the good guy, and saving somebody with a cause, and this ought to be a law feeling. And in the case of this litigation funding, all of them were there. You had the attorney CEO and what he was doing, which ends up to be like a good thing. And the funny thing is, you walk away with, there ought to be a law, but you're also thinking, why would that dude do this? You know, he had no problem getting on 60 Minutes, and very few people do, because they call it the 60 Minutes phenomenon. Organizations or industries that have a 60 minutes program done on them, regardless of good or bad, always have an incredible awareness that could never be brought about with any other media form. Now, things have changed for 60 Minutes, which is why they're not on prime time. Sunday night, 8 o'clock at night, I used to watch it religiously. That's not the case anymore. But they do still have that recipe, and goodness grief, Leslie Stahl is still on there. I mean, she's been doing this for 30 some odd years. So that's a little bit about that. And the war chest, rest assured, that is not even anything near what our program is. We have real contracts. It's a loan, not, some shot in the dark. And yes, there are attorneys involved, but it's not this wait and see type thing. These are actual cases that are referenced on the contract of the creditor agreement. So very, very different, but it was good fun. And I did this for my good buddy as well as all the folks I work with. Anyway, thanks for your time. Bill Sickert, Director of Compliance, Litigation Practice Creditor Program.